Hey, welcome to Remote Play. Wanted to drop a quick video just to talk about some Switch 2 rumors that came up. Evan, do you want to go ahead and let our listeners know what's going on?
Yeah, so a couple articles came out today. We're going to start with an article on Eurogamer. It's called Nintendo Demoed Switch 2 Developers at Gamescom. So basically, the Switch 2, the Super Switch, if you will, has is out there in the wild, and there are some people that are getting to see it. Journalists and dev kits are out there, and it was at Gamescom, and it's getting showcased. And
hmm It's got me hyped up, man. Like, this is a pretty reliable report, I think. And we're getting from multiple sites now as well, as you mentioned. One thing that caught my eye in the article, which we have up on the screen, is that they used a souped up version of Breath of the Wild to showcase this. So do we want to jump into what the article has talked about tech wise that this thing might be able to do?
Sure. I mean, there's one thing that really, like, they say souped up version of Breath of the Wild, which I know is like it's not suggesting. First off, I get like this image of in my head of like when the GameCube was announced and there was that like awesome looking Zelda demo or whatever, and it was not even a game that existed. And
Yeah,
then like Wind Waker came out and everybody's like, what the heck is this kind of thing?
yeah,
But
yeah.
so probably not a good idea to read too much into it. You want to dive into the technical a little bit?
Yeah, so basically, there's not a ton of information on the technical side of things, but if we jump over to the VGC article, Video Game Chronicles, which we'll pull up on the screen as well, we can speak to that here. Not only was Breath of the Wild showcased, but also, as you see here in the middle of the article, where there's the bold text, the Matrix Awakens Unreal Engine 5 tech demo was used. And that was originally used to show the power of the PS5 and Xbox Series X. So, are you telling me that this Switch 2 is going to be as good as this current console generation?
No stinking way, dude. I don't care what kind of unless they've got, like some kind of, wizard himself. They've got Gandalf back there working on this.
Don't
Uh
don't question them. There's four of them, the four wizards, and they worked on the physics engine in Tears of the Kingdom
I mean that's
on the
that's
hunk of
true.
junk that is the Switch with a 9 year old,
Uh
10-year-old chip.
Nintendo likes to stick around that $300 price point. I would be shocked if they came out with a $500 console. Which is what the PS5 and Xbox Series are, Series X is, and I mean, yeah, I'm sure you can do some magic with this, but this is a hybrid console too. So it's just like,
hmm
yeah,
hmm
sure, there's the Xbox Series S that's $300 and you kind of take some hits there or whatever. And it's like, but that's $300 and there's no handheld, there's no hybrid thing. To make that a hybrid, like I mean, think of how much smaller the unit has to be, and it has to be able to just run on a battery and itself. Man, if Nvidia is that far ahead of AMD, then I mean Sony and Xbox are going to be going a different direction next gen, right? Like they're going to have
Right.
to be abandoning AMD.
Right. Um, so you're saying you don't buy it. You don't buy it. You think the rumor's real. We have multiple sites, multiple sources. The Breath of the Wild thing's real, but you're not buying this Series
I
X
think
PS5
journalists were
talk.
I think journalists were impressed with how well it looked, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this looks like it's a PS5." And really, it's like, okay, it might be like PS4 Pro levels or Xbox One X,
Right.
but and again, it doesn't even speak to the performance necessarily in the articles, right?
Right.
So,
Yep.
maybe it does look that beautiful, and it's running at 10 frames per second.
Yeah, that's very possible. I'm gonna tell you, I'm total opposite on this. I am buying this wholesale. Give me all the hopium, whatever you want to call it. I am
Yeah.
all in on this. So now we don't know, what's the difference in docked versus handheld. That's a good point you made. So maybe when you pull this thing handheld, it's scaled down or the frame rate's held back. But look at what they did with the original Switch, which at the time they took a Tegra chip that was already 2 years old, and then how they accomplished things like Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Tears of the Kingdom nearly 7 years later, almost on a 9 year old, 10-year-old chip. You know, these guys are wizards and they can do this, and I'm believing it. I don't think we're gonna see like 4K 60 locked or something on this. I don't think that's possible. But I think that they're working their magic. They're optimizing, and this thing's gonna run some PS4 Pro, low end PS5 stuff.
So what do you think this is going to be?
That's a great question because that brings into question the tech on the Nvidia side, right? So 1080p handheld, 4K docked, using DLSS 3.5 on an Ada Lovelace architecture custom chip for Nintendo, and they're ready to blow the doors off with this thing.
Man, what do you? So I mean, what's this thing cost when it comes out then?
I thought you were gonna ask me what are you smoking, but you asked me what what is this
Oh,
about?
I gotta get a price out of you first.
Okay, so the price. Hear me out. They're still moving switches. We just announced three different console packages, right? They use that as their lower end model, potentially drop the price next year. And then this guy comes out around 400 to 450. So they do have a switch for everybody. They kind of have a 2 tier, 3 tier thing. Hey, it's backwards compatible. You want to play these games? Yeah, look, you can buy a Switch still from us. We will definitely sell you one. We're 130 million plus units, but we don't care. We can just do that. And then if hey, you want this awesome 4K stuff, all this new stuff, come buy the big Switch. Come buy the big boy. What do you think? 400, 450?
If this thing is under 500, if it's under, I mean, honestly, this sounds like a $600 device to me. So when you mentioned, I was thinking I was going to ask you what you're smoking. I need to know what you're smoking and where you're getting it from, because that is some high quality opium that you've got going on there to get a $400 console that's hybrid and looking as good as a Series X or a PS5. I mean, if Sony or Xbox could get something that looks as good as the console they have
Mm-hmm.
for $100 less while also making it small enough and handheld, why wouldn't they do that? But
Would Nintendo release a $500 plus console?
no, I don't think so.
You don't think
I
so?
think that I think that they are still they feel like they launched the Wii U at too high of a price. I mean, the
Okay.
OLED came in at 349, which I believe is what the Wii U came in at. But the Wii U, the OLED came in at 349 after there was a $200 option at the at 199 or whatever, the Switch Lite.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they like that 300-ish. I could maybe see 399. They're like, okay, getting a little, they've got some confidence behind them now after selling 130 million units on the Switch. People are going to buy. They love this concept. They'll spend the 399 to do it.
So
Sure.
would they consider selling this one at a loss, and then once the economies scale, they're turning a profit, and that's how they fund this? What are your thoughts?
So I think they know that they've got like this form factor is an absolute hit,
Mm-hmm.
and anything selling that many consoles tells them why would we take a loss? And it's just like they came off the Wii U at selling 13 million units of the Wii U, right? That's less than I think Ring Fit Adventure has sold on the Switch, and and they know they're going to get units out the door this time,
If you know
right?
you're
I
going to
mean,
get units out the door and you're going to hit that scale, why don't you just take the loss? Why don't you take the loss and you come out
why
with a
would you take the
banger?
loss? Oh
Because
yeah.
because if you have to compromise on your hardware, and that puts you behind yet again and limits your games,
To
which
hit the
is what
price
makes the
point you're
money.
saying.
Yes.
Yeah, Nintendo has been out of the performance race, the power race for a long time. And so I think that they are like, all right, they've been locked in on making money on their hardware for forever. And
Yeah.
so I don't think there's anything that's going to change that. Nintendo doesn't change things quickly.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
and so that's kind of where I'm at.
That wasn't my point necessarily. I don't think they're going for a power race against um, Sony and Xbox. I think that they need to innovate on their games. They need capable hardware. It has to be brought up, not necessarily to Xbox Series X level where it's 4K 60 frames locked or whatever you want to call it. they need to bring that floor up, or that ceiling rather, so that they can make the games, which is what they're best at doing, right? Like, yeah, granted, they make good hardware, like they innovate, right? They have cool, innovative ideas, but it's really the games, it's the IP that is the most valuable, and the quality of games that they release. I mean, look at these Nintendo games this year, all 90 plus, right? Or at least high 80s. That's the moneymaker. The console enables that. And so I think, in my opinion,
But
they would consider taking a loss to up that hardware, future proof themselves, knowing that a Switch 2 generation could last a long time. Could last a long time. And they're gonna turn
I
that
mean,
profit hardware eventually. Go ahead.
I, yeah, so I mean it could last a long time. But yeah, I mean to your point, that right, all their games are coming out at these 90s and stuff. They produce high quality games
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the hardware that they're on. So and Nintendo innovates regardless of what the power of their console is. So that them seeing, I don't think they see, oh, we need to hit some kind of performance specs to have innovative great games. They don't that we need to push any kind of power. So that's, I don't know, that's where I am.
So,
I don't
so
think
let me ask you
Nintendo's.
this. Right now, let's say Switch 2 gets announced next year, comes out next year, by Christmas, whatever. Is
Yeah.
there a 2-year-old chip in that? A 2 to 3-year-old chip in that? Because it doesn't matter to them.
I don't think so. Because I think they're gonna have a chip that is kind of, they're gonna be more on Nvidia's timeline this time. So
Okay.
I think it's just they weren't on Nvidia's timeline with the Switch. They had to come out with that 2-year-old chip. I think they're gonna be more, and Nvidia is gonna be more on Nintendo's timeline this time
Right.
around,
Like they
right?
see the units and the capability to sell this, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So Nvidia is going to be working, I think even closer with Nintendo, and they're going to be like, okay, this is what's going to carry this chip forward. So let's make sure that we're releasing at the same time. We're producing that, uh, giving you a little bit more flexibility, a little more room to grow on this hardware.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think part of the reason they selected that Tegra chip originally is just the amount of stock. Like there was so much. To your point, maybe they weren't on the same timeline. Like nobody could predict what was going to happen with the Switch, right? And so risk adverse, they're looking at the Tegra chip. They have a huge amount of stock. There's reliability. The price was low. Nintendo says, "Hey, we can make this work." And then it
Yeah.
went from there. But now, does that viewpoint change? And what is the strategy when they're more of a partnership with Nvidia, and they're getting that dedicated support and planning? I don't know. We're gonna see here, I think, very, very soon. What do you think?
Yeah. So I was going to ask you that. When do you think we see this, and when do you think it comes out?
So when do we see the announcement, and when does it come out? Early. It's got to be early next year announcement, and then they release in the early fall. They
Give me
ramp
a
up.
month. Give me a month for both.
Oh, um, announcement March, release October.
Okay, I'm gonna agree with you on the announcement in March.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe February. There's no way they do it in January. I don't think they do it that close to Christmas, like right after Christmas. Be like, hey, that Switch you just bought your kid for Christmas? It's outdated.
Yeah.
Right, a month later or a few weeks later.
Sorry, Johnny.
So yeah, so I think that March time is a really good spot for it to be announced, and I think I'm honestly I'm floating between July and September for release.
What?
So
What? No.
uh,
Why?
I so what I think the Switch did wonderfully in March. They can't do that again, right? Releasing in March, because they announced the
That'd
Switch
mean announcing
at the end
next
of,
week. They would announce next
they
week if they
announced
were going to
this
release it.
right, right, yeah. So they announced the Switch at the end of October of 2016, and that was because they weren't selling any units of Wii U that holiday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they sold 12 less units of the Wii U that
They needed them
holiday.
pre-orders, right?
Right, right. They probably stopped production at that point. I don't know. It was just that bad. The Switch is not the case, right? The Switch will sell more this holiday or more this year than the Wii U sold in its lifetime.
Yeah.
So they can't they just can't cannibalize those sales by announcing the Switch 2 before Christmas, before the holiday season. No way. So, but I think they liked the earlier in the year the release because then it allowed the early adopters, like like what we're certainly going to be, the people that are going to
Mm-hmm.
buy that thing right away. Uh, they didn't have to compete with mom buying Johnny a Switch for Christmas as much.
Yeah.
So if they come out with this thing in July, it's gonna sell, right? It's gonna sell to all of us.
Yeah.
And so why not? And then it gives some room for all the early adopters to buy before October
And you ramp up
when Christmas
production.
when holiday shopping starts happening around, right?
Right.
So I think August sounds like a weird time to release it. I think it would be July or September for whatever reason, but I mean, maybe not. I mean, it could literally come out at any time and it's going to sell.
Yeah.
So
They have that power at this point to just drop it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to go bold here. I'm going to go bold. My hot take, July.
Wow. So I've got
July.
March announcement, October release. You've got March announcement.
Yep. March
Yeah.
announcement, July release.
Okay. And let me ask you this before we close out. What is the launch game or a couple of launch titles that come with this that make you buy this?
Okay. That's a good question. Cross gen, Metroid Prime 4.
Okay.
Hmm. That's a good point though. So it's got to launch with software.
Mm-hmm.
So the July time frame, as opposed to like launching with the holiday big hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Metroid Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Metroid Prime cross gen. Right? They always have a July title anyway. Typically, it's like like a Splatoon
Mm-hmm.
or a Pikmin, right? So family friendly, big fun title. Mario's not going to be in that category. Mario is going to be in October, right? It's either going to be like
No launch
that turn of the
title.
year, right? That February March time frame, February March May, like that early spring or it's going to be the holiday title.
So you got Metroid Prime 4. What is it? Well, give me one or two more.
Yep, and then I think Super Mario Odyssey comes or I'm sorry, whatever. The next Mario 3D Mario comes the next holiday. That holiday. I think that's gonna come out the holiday. But yeah, otherwise, give me Snipper Clips too. I love Snipper Clips at launch. So I would love to see a Snipper Clips too. Just kind of like come in there as like here's something to buy with your new Switch, and then maybe not another 1-2 Switch Sports 2 or Switch 2 Sports. Something along the lines, right? So
You gotta have something for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Okay, you ready for mine? Mario
Yeah.
Kart. New Mario Kart. It's
Good one.
got to be, right? We're done with 8. Please. Some type of Donkey Kong potentially. Okay. New Donkey Kong. New Mario Kart. And then I'm gonna go with you ready for this one? A Call of Duty. And I say this because Bobby Kotick has said, or was it in the court case, they're working on getting this game to the Switch. And what better to come out with a new console, just like they did behind closed doors, supposedly, show off this Unreal Engine 5 tech, right? They weren't showing off just Breath of the Wild. They were showing it, hey, not only can we do our stuff, we're going to do other stuff now too that's been missing for years. And that's how you win people over. That's how you say you're for real. What do you think?
That would be pretty cool, right? And that would hit your October timeframe, right? Or within that release window within a month or so. That would be pretty cool. Donkey Kong, give me 3D Donkey Kong, please.
Whoa, that'd be crazy. That would be crazy.
I don't know that the next Donkey Kong will be 3D, but that's a great lineup. I kind of we watched Spawn Wave, so I'm not sure Mario Kart 9 exists. I think it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus and
yeah, new Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus 3D
with funky mode, right?
Yeah. And we're doing all this rumors and speculation, and then it's going to come out that the console is actually, that was just some tech idea, and this console is actually more focused on the camera that's supposedly attached to this thing, and maybe scanning your face and putting it on a Mii or something, and you're like, no.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah,
the Nintendo thing. The Nintendo way.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey guys, thanks for listening to this. Really, really cool rumors coming out here. We're both really excited about this, although we kind of disagree on what's going to happen and what the hardware is going to look like. But you guys should definitely jump into the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Feel free to join the Discord. We got a lot of discussion going on over there. We would love to hear your voice. Anything else before we go?
That's it, man.
All right. Awesome.
July.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. See you guys. Have a good one. Keep gaming.